Good afternoon all. To the whole planet Earth out there, whoever's watching, wherever you're from, welcome to Juma Game Reserve and welcome to our live safari this afternoon. A wonderful afternoon it is. We've had a lot of that weather move away. So it's a little bit, I guess it's partly cloudy or marginally cloudy. Clouds on the margins of the sky, not much up ahead. And a lovely hot afternoon. Quite a contrast to the weather that we've had over the last 2 days. With the rain and the overcast and the cool weather. So all back to summer. And I hope we're going to find things this afternoon that are going to show us a bit of summertime. My name is Mark. Andrew is on camera this afternoon. Brian is back in final control. And well, the three of us plan to try and entertain you this afternoon in our live safari, however we can. Preferably by showing you some animals and birds and flowers, maybe an insect or two. A reptile or three, or even just one reptile actually. Clean slate this afternoon. Clean slate in terms of we don't have anything up our sleeve. Sometimes we're lucky enough to have something up our sleeve, some cactus, something we might have found in the morning that we can be fairly sure of where they will be. Clean slate this afternoon. Clean slate in terms of we don't have anything up our sleeve. Sometimes we're lucky enough to have something up our sleeve, some cactus, something we might have found in the morning that we can be fairly sure of where they will be in the afternoon. However, today, well, we had some Ellies at the end of drive this morning, and that's it. We need to find a different direction. So I'm thinking, let's go way up there into the northeast. Question. Why have we not seen any jackets? Why have we not seen any jackets? Question from Andrew in South Africa. vehicle. Mostly, well, the reason interesting behavior, that baboon in the background pulling off bark. Not only elephants that pull bark off trees. Probably trying to get to the gum. It's an acacia, and who knows what it is that the baboon wants out of the, whether it's the bark or the gum. Another one here in the foreground, this little one. Also getting to edges of, another one here in the foreground, this little one. Also getting to edges of Lisa in the UK. I don't know if we've met before, but hello Lisa, who's in the UK. Nice to hear from you. Lisa's question is regarding, here's a big one. Lisa in the UK. I don't know if we've met before, but hello Lisa, who's in the UK. Nice to hear from you. Lisa's question is regarding, here's a big one down there. See, maybe we'll get to view some of the baboon from here while I talk to Lisa. Lisa's asking a question about, well, she's saying that domestic cats can get fleas and things, but what happens to the wild animals? What are their, what blood sucking thing, parasites, I suppose? What is it that we find out here that affect the wild animals? Well, fleas are part of it, and there are a number of different types of fleas, and there are ticks, which are, I suppose, the two main types of biting insects. But there are several species of flies, biting flies and blood-sucking flies. Mosquitoes are not, of course, naturally part of that, but there are others. There are the likes of different types of horse flies, bot flies, and similar things to tsetse flies. There are things called bat flies, and really there are types of flies that are so weird. They've evolved, they've developed a lifestyle that they live entirely on mammals, that they don't even need wings anymore, and they wild would completely overwhelm a domestic animal. Interesting that one baboon sitting down there in the sand picking something is actually washed or sort of wiping it off. Maybe roots of something. That one that's sitting with his back to us, towards the back there, every now and then eating something that it wipes quite vigorously. There, once again, wiping it. Wild would completely overwhelm a domestic animal. Interesting that one baboon sitting down there in the sand picking something is actually washed or sort of wiping it off. Maybe roots of something. That one that's sitting with his back to us, towards the back there. Every now and then eating something that it wipes quite vigorously. There, once again, wiping it. It's hard to see with his back to us. I'll try and dig out the insect book and show you some of these creatures. Lesser kudu. Well, we have the greater kudu here, Teresa. That's the lesser kudu that is found in Tanzania and Kenya, northern Tanzania and Kenya. Well, I suppose having found them in Ruaha, you could say sort of southern Tanzania too, perhaps. But what we see here is the greater kudu. If you could imagine the same thing that is about the size of a nyala, so it's about a third the size of the greater kudu, that is the lesser kudu. It looks almost identical to the greater kudu. But what we see here is the greater kudu. If you could imagine the same thing that is about the size of a nyala, so it's about a third the size of the greater kudu, that is the lesser kudu. It looks almost identical to the greater kudu. Mostly some of them. Of course, the one thing that I did forget about mentioning with the lice, the different types of lice that you get that live on animals' bodies, they're almost microscopic. They're just permanent parasites on birds and mammals, and they can be very host specific. So almost for every type of animal or bird that you get, you're going to find there are different types of lice, and they are only one. Of course, there are also very much the same on birds and mammals, and they can be very host specific. So almost for every type of animal or bird that you get, you're going to find there are different types of lice, and they are only one. Of course, there are also very much the same. Or a lion, or they are evolved and has developed the specific method of living on its host that it wouldn't work on any other host. So the lice flies are very host specific. This is what is called a bat fly. It is rather a strange, believe it or not. This is a fly. It looks like a crab, or a cross between a crab and a tick. That's known as a bat fly or a bat lice fly. They don't fly anymore. They've lost the use of their wings. Their wings are vestigial because they don't need to fly anymore. They can merely pass on from animal to animal, and they it looks like a crab or a cross between a crab and a tick. That's known as a bat fly or a bat lice fly. They don't fly anymore. They've lost the use of their wings. Their wings are vestigial because they don't need to fly anymore. They can merely pass on from animal to animal, and they merely live within the pelt or within the fur of an animal. They've got a lot to deal with. common eagle tree, I guess. This time a brown snake eagle. More than we do. There were a couple of tortoises moving around because we had the rain coming in yesterday, but well, might be humid enough, might be right sort of conditions to have a tortoise moving around this afternoon, especially if there might be more rain coming. But not really something that we can go and set out to look for. That's something that we might happen upon to knows that. Look for. That's something that we might happen upon to knows that. He's back full. It's sort of there's things they use in forensic photographs to give scale, so that whenever we see something like a leopard tortoise or a hinge-back tortoise or a chameleon, something that we're able to get close to without disturbing it too much, like a land snail. There's a good one. If we see any more land snails, because they only come out in the rain or it's after rain. Lucky enough to see a couple just recently. Or flowers even, or insects. Speaking of which, too much, like a land snail. There's a good one. If we see any more land snails, because they only come out in the rain or it's after rain. Lucky enough to see a couple just recently. Or flowers even, or insects. Speaking of which, wonderful. Thanks, Brian. Be the what? Yeah, snowstorms will do that. Unless it's hardwired, and they won't have much to do with it at all. Or, I don't know, maybe. I don't know much about that whole technical thing. Still got to come down from the satellite. Maybe the snowstorms are blocking that. Who knows? Who knows? It is a little frustrating for all of us, I guess. I wonder if what I'm saying is in complete sentences that anybody can follow what I'm saying. I'm blocking that. Who knows? Who knows? It is a little frustrating for all of us, I guess. I wonder if what I'm saying is in complete sentences that anybody can follow what I'm saying. gonna happen. This was for Sharon. There's a Chagra. Sorry, not gonna happen today. Flown through to the back. Chagras are one of the hardest birds to get on camera because their habits are living deep within the thickets, or within the foliage of trees and bushes and shrubs, and they're very seldom exposed, except for maybe the three-streak chagra, which tends to, I think that's now called the brown crown. Chagras are one of the hardest birds to get on camera because their habits are living deep within the thickets, or within the foliage of trees and bushes and shrubs, and they're very seldom exposed, except for maybe the three-streak chagra, which tends to, I think that's now called the brown crown. So it's a challenge to try and get it on camera. Rain over a few hours, there wasn't really that much runoff for that, since it hasn't rained for more than a month, I suppose. Maybe 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago was a heavy rain. Came in with a bit of hail. But prior to that, it's been more than a month since rain, so the ground has been drying up considerably. But prior to that, it's been more than a month since rain, so the ground has been drying up considerably. afternoon yet. I'm hoping that there goes the day. Unfortunately, true to form, stands still until we stop and look at it. As soon as we stop and look at it, it runs away. Because why else would you stop and look at it if it wasn't to do it harm? It's not in the nature of animals to stop and look at each other just for the sake of looking. So when we do it, unless animals are really quite used to it, and a lot of the solitary animals are not. A lot of the thicker bush inhabitants don't really like that. Why they live in thick bush. It's remarkable how eye contact can be so important. So when we do it, unless animals are really quite used to it, and a lot of the solitary animals are not. A lot of the thicker bush inhabitants don't really like that. Why they live in thick bush. It's remarkable how eye contact can be so important. And so often, more often than not in fact, just the very act of looking at something sends it away, because nature has given it that trigger that something's looking at you, disappear, because it's looking at you because it's going to hunt you. Otherwise, why else would it be looking at you? Because if you look at all the animals and all the species of animals that live out here, there's no reason for an impala to really, I know it's a moot point because impala is not exactly going to hunt a giraffe, but still, they're because it's going to hunt you. Otherwise, why else would it be looking at you? Because if you look at all the animals and all the species of animals that live out here, there's no reason for an impala to really, I know it's a moot point because impala is not exactly going to hunt a giraffe, but still, they're looked at, as you know, it's not only us that feel it, but it's universal. Everything in nature gets that little tingling when there's something looking at it. And when it is something that is predatory looking at you, you just turn around and run away. That's the best defense. We're seen as predators, although we're not really active as predators. I think animals just don't know where we're coming from. So when we stop the vehicle to look at things sometimes, like now, stopping to look at hippo, if you're looking at you, you just turn around and run away. That's the best defense. We're seen as predators, although we're not really active as predators. I think animals just don't know where we're coming from. So when we stop the vehicle to look at things sometimes, like now, stopping to look at hippo, this water really does look inviting, I have to say. This water really does look inviting, I have to say. And there's a submarine coming from the back of the pond. We can see its wake as it makes its way towards us. Where is it going to surface? I think you're on the spot. I think that's exactly where it is. And where is it going to surface? I think you're on the spot. I think that's exactly where it is. And there. And a little one. A hippo child. There's a little one. Goodbye, little one. This pops up for air. It's quite remarkable how the ears, the eyes and the nose have all sort of raised themselves to that level, to that area of the skull, that the majority of the skull, the majority of the body can stay underwater, but those three vital organs can protrude: nostrils, eyes and ears. to just check the top corner of the property. This is our northeastern corner, actually, the most northeastern point we can ever get to. Nice to see what might have been moving in and out just in this area since the rain. The rain came in and cleaned a lot of the tracks over the last few weeks, so with the new slate there are new writings on the sand, new tracks to read. Well, if there were tracks then I could read them, but there isn't really much at all. Not yet. That's good news. Brian's saying that a lot of the feed that was down for people is back up again, so it looks like we've got other people back again. Glad to, yeah, that's all sorted out. one of those days. Well, it happens a lot when it's warm. I was just going to say that, you know, sometimes the bush, where I'm trying to find a way to explain why we're not seeing anything, why I'm not talking, or why there's nothing happening. This is just the way it is. This is real life nature. This is, some days there can be so much happening, and there can be some we don't know where to go first, we don't know what to look at first. There's some days that because of temperatures and because of weather, that animal behavior changes so dramatically that, well, you can drive around for an hour or two and there's just nothing to be seen. Although it's times like this that maybe are the times when there's most likely something to just pop out of the woodwork, totally unexpected. Hi everyone, good and you? Having a good time? Good.
We're running out.
It'll take a while, so I need to find the right ingredients, but
how's it going?
Good and you?
Yeah,
Good. I need one of those straw hat things.
Okay, now where you? There's enough of them around here.
No, the best thing about them is you can fold it up and put them in your bag.
No, I couldn't do that to my Kudra. Gosh, no. It makes me cringe to think that anybody would think of doing that.
What have you seen?
It's a bit of a quiet afternoon this afternoon, but it's temperature. We've just had cold temperatures and now suddenly hot. It's almost like the reverse of what's happened yesterday. It was hot and then it got cold and things were hiding.
We just saw an awesome giant eagle out.
I heard that. Down in the riverbed.
Very, very
wonderful.
close, like just here.
That's close to, when it gets to Trinidad, you just go down to the north along there.
Oh, okay, I might try that. Where were those in law moving?
They are just crossing the road to the old community there.
Oh, so they're coming this way?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. I'll go find them.
You saw the zebra looked like it was dying.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, on Zoe's.
Yeah.
It was strange. I went to our mast there this afternoon and the stallion was standing in the road. He wouldn't let me pass. And I had to go and collect the batteries at our mast and then take them back to camp. And when I came back, he was standing in the road again and he wouldn't let me pass. And he showed me that mare. It's almost like he pointed to her and said, help me out. Yeah, I want you. Look, Mama Fuzzy's. And I said to him, I mean, he was standing right next to me. I could have patted him.
Doing the same thing.
And I can't help him. What? I'm going to put a mare in the back of my Land Rover and take it to the vet.
What do you think's happened to her?
I think she might have either pulled a muscle. I don't know. It looks like it's hip, the way that she's walking.
She was down.
No,
She was down?
Yeah, she was down, flat.
Okay, I must go and have a look. Could be, but it was very clear that he wanted, that he was trying to attract my attention when I went past there. Was it the same for you?
So was she up and then
She was up and she was feeding, but she was clearly in agony. She was clearly...
Maybe a snake bite or something.
It's possible. I thought maybe a pulled muscle or dislocated hip. If another mare maybe kicked her.
She's done.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's sad. There's very little that can actually be done, you know. It's under the circumstances, the amount of stress that she's in already, to dart her would probably just to kill her already. But also just to... Anyways, I'm gonna go that way. I'll go and see and have a look. Have a lovely evening. Nice seeing you again in daylight and all and all. Cheers. Bye. Bye. about a zebra. Andrew and I went up to Zoe's Road, to those two car repeaters that are on Zoe's Road. If you remember this morning, we had to go and sort out a battery issue that had come about because of the rain and the cloud, and we brought back the other ones so that we could put them on charge and make sure we've always got backup batteries for there. And well, no matter what happens, if they ever die, we still got to always go back there and swap them over. But it was the strangest thing. There was the zebra stallion, and you know what? It was the zebra stallion that was standing in that open area. I think it was it yesterday we were on Arathusa at this storm? I can't remember. I think it was yesterday afternoon. That one open area on Arathusa, we saw a family of zebra, and there was that stallion. He had a couple of old lion scars on his rump, and there was that one mare that was a really pretty mare. And I actually remarked about the shadow stripes that went all the way up to the shoulder. And normally the shadow stripes on the zebra are only sort of over the rump area. Anyways, Andrew and I went to go and collect those batteries, and he was standing in the road. He wouldn't let us pass. And of course, I didn't want to push him too much, and we could see the other zebra off in the bush. Funny enough, it was at that termite mound where there's that one tree that I think somebody said to me once, it's an ironwood that's in flower. I still can't find out what it is, but it's a flowering tree that's just finished flowering. We were looking at it just recently. It was at that termite mound, and he wouldn't let me pass. But eventually I suppose in a way, edged past him. He moved off of the road onto the termite mound, and then when we came back with the batteries, he was more adamant about me not passing him. And I got the strongest impression, the strongest feeling that he was drawing my attention to something. And then of course we saw the mare, although Andrew had seen the mare on our way there, but we couldn't, she was so far in the bush we couldn't see anything. And now this parrots, kingfishers. Oh, right. Okay. Okay, I see Brian's telling me there's a fire burning, so I need to put it out. I think there's some elephants up ahead. Folks, this isn't the last drive. I'm still going to be here tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon and the day after that. This is not the last drive. Parrots making a noise. Parrot is somewhere above us. See them, see them. I found a parrot. There's a parrot in this marula tree. Find it. Andrew and Gat? Can I join you? We're going to lose these elephants instead of looking for parrots, because they're now moving east. They're supposed to be moving this way. We're going to get a brief glimpse of Ellies before they disappear. One bull for now. I can't go much further north, rather east than this when we lose him. I think he was that young bull. There's another one here to the left. Thanks, Andrew. Sadly, unless they come back a little bit further to our side of the world, I'm just going to have to move out of the way for Andrew. Can we still see anything? Just that one over there that might still be visible. Andrew? Oh, good. I'd like to see them. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good.
Get from the Isle of Bay, but then Ponto will come in west, I think we'll go through the east. Maybe they're going to be around by the boundaries.
What, tonight?
Yeah, there's a calamari fry.
Oh, nice.
We'll let them push camp, but then Ponto I think is west.
But I don't think they've crossed yet.
No, they haven't yet.
Oh, thanks.
Maybe they must be still in yeah, but I will let you know.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Talamaki pride line I don't even know about. So, you know about the Talamakis? Evidently just east of us. They might come west a little bit later. Well, no, there's still one or two Ellies. Andrew tells me still one or two Ellies on Jumo. Left of us is not Jumo, right of us is Jumo. Still maybe one or two Ellies on our side of the fence. Fence being the road. Not the last drive. I don't know where it came from that it's the last drive. Or who said it was. The old hyena den now. Andrew says he thinks there's still a Ellie with a calf here somewhere. Somebody told somebody who told somebody, and they told somebody who posted on Facebook about somebody who said something about somebody saying something about the last drive being today. But nobody knows who that somebody is or was. Or was it based on 2 weeks from, or what? That's only a week. Somebody knows something that we all don't know. That would be a bit of a shocker. But no, only kidding. No, I'm still going to be here at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, Central African time. We will be on drive looking for more of our wonderful wildlife. I don't see this path that Andrew was talking about. There's this little further down. Thinking maybe this is a herd that we saw at Treehouse Dam this morning. I'm not seeing anybody in the form of pachyderm. That's to be our prize this afternoon, a brief glimpse of an elephant. Maybe there are more elephants in the world. Maybe, but they are. But maybe they're in our world. Down there, maybe where that vehicle is. Maybe there are more at least down there. Station on Gary Main near Tita Cutline. Chitwa. I don't have the channel, so I can't talk to him. There's Ellie over there. What is she eating? That's quite a big mama at the back there. Quite a fancy big old girl. Oh, your mum is leaving you behind, is it? Hello Craig, hi everyone.
How are you?
Fine, and you?
Not too bad.
Good.
Not too bad.
You been away?
Yeah, I just got back from leave on Friday.
Oh nice, welcome back.
Thank you. You also had a nice little leave, eh?
Yeah, I went home for a couple of weeks.
Which areas have you checked?
Buffelshoek Dam and Cheetah Cut Line. Came round to these in Love.
You haven't done Twin Dams yet?
No.
You copy.
You're looking...
I see you with the holy one.
Black Mamba.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a...
That was actually the venom from a spitting cobra.
Wow.
Yeah, they picked up traction. I don't know if you copied Ingwe and Gonzo and Luati. Sort of in and out, up and down.
Coming north.
There was going north and going back south.
One of those young my daughters.
I know they had quarantine. I think it was in Little Gowrie a couple of days ago. There's 2 sticks McFuzzies that treed him.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Last night we had Bahuti was on one-eyed plan, which is just over here. He was heading south. So
Yeah.
it might be...
No, also I'll check that one drainage line that goes up at sort of southern side of Elephant Skull.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's
I'll just want to talk to some elephants some more.
Are they moving through the...
A couple of Mafaizi with the Mampimpan here, there were 2 young bulls that already crossed to the cut line.
Okay. Alright, look,
Okay.
I'll keep you updated if I find anything.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
I know where that was. Somebody was telling me on Facebook that there were 2 sticks females that treed young quarantine males, and saying it was on Arathusa. It wasn't on Arathusa, it was here on Little Gowrie, not far from us, just near Baboon Pan, I guess, somewhere south of Treehouse, or rather Twin Dams. No doubt an Arathusa vehicle that saw that. Ellies are now here. We're close to the hyena den again. That one through there. No. See, this is the youngster. We'll see if we can gonna go do this little loop again. Find these 2 early cows that were here. I remember when this tree was standing. This is wow. Huge, broad pod false thorn that has been felled. Whether that's weather or natural causes, I don't know. She's a pretty girl. I think I recognize this old girl. She's a really pretty old Ellie. And calf. Valerie in Pennsylvania sent a question that I don't really understand. We've got a very interesting little calf coming up our way now that I've never seen before. Valerie is saying something about investigating sick or injured or carcasses. Who investigating? I'm just curious. Valerie, what do you mean by your question, to be able to answer it a bit better? She's not a youngster, this Ellie. Oh, have I seen the Ellies? Okay. I thought you were talking about humans. There's a really sad little calf here that I think we need to all adopt. It's only sad because me as a human, I'm getting very much. That little one. There's a little one here that's got. Oh, sorry, spider. I'm not going to go any further. There's a spider web I'm about to break. But this little one on the left, Andrew, that's now on the very left of the picture. Poor child has got 2 floppy ears. Both of its ears are it's just a funny little strange little child. So the question was, have I ever seen elephant investigate the carcass of a sick or injured animal, or just the bones of an animal? Hello, Mrs. Ellie. She's certainly not a youngster, this old girl. See the head hanging quite low, somewhat sunken temples. The tusks are perhaps a slight indication. I mean, it's not a major thing because tusks are always genetic in terms of the size of tusks, but just her whole demeanor, she's not a youngster. Something been stressing her out a little bit because of the temporal glands leaking. Lenny wants to know what causes the ears to collapse like that, the cartilage, and whether they'll be less effective at cooling. Lenny, I actually don't know what it is. I need to research it further and see what causes the cartilage in Ellie's ears to collapse like that. Because there it comes now, it's just coming out into this little patch. There's a little bit of a shy child, I think, because And yes, I would imagine that it is considerably less effective when it comes to cooling. They're not able to flap them as much, apart from the fact that the network of vanes that are meant to act as the coolant are then exposed on the outside, so they're actually, if anything, it's maybe going to overheat the Ellie a little bit more. Oh look, this little one wants to charge us. Hello baby. I'm just going to turn around conveniently in a nice little spot here where we've got a bit of space to maneuver. Hello. Hello little girl. Yeah, you're going to show us your strength with that little tree now. Or just pretend to feed. Raisa, difficult to answer this question, Raisa, because I'm not too sure who we're referring to. But that big matriarch we were looking at now, that old girl, she's got huge memories. So I'm not too sure who you're saying it's not her little girl, because her teeth's not swollen. But certainly that big female, she's got exceptionally large memories. I think it is probably her child. We need to turn around and try and follow them again. You know, although we're live and things, sometimes when a question comes through referring to a certain individual, sometimes it's hard to know which individual it is you're referring to, because, well, I might have moved on. I might be looking at a different individual, and I'm not too sure who you're referring to. So it's there is always, as live as we are, it still takes a little bit of time for the signal to go from me to Brian, then FC, from there to, I don't even know where it has to go, and then undersea cables to Europe, and then to London, and then to satellites, and then to the world. So as fast as communications are, there is a little bit of a delay. And as fast as a question might be able to come in, sometimes it's difficult for me to know who exactly you're referring to, because I might not have that individual on camera anymore. I want to go back to see that matriarch with the car. But it's the child, really. To be quite a few Ellies here actually. Okay, no, just quickly on that big female. If you look just underneath her front legs, this is the big girl, this is the mama cat, this is the big matriarch. This is I'm sure, the mother of this calf that's now trying to charge us. But you can see just underneath her front leg, you can actually see how big her memories are, if this little child would. It's suckling. No, not suckling. Hello, Marge. Actually, it's something that a lot of people actually don't realize, is that the memories of an elephant are between the front legs. And here's another, that's just like big boobs, you know, really. Some people are offended if I say that, but really, they are. One pair of mammary glands between the front legs, much like human. I think the only other animal is a bat, maybe. Of course, other primates, let's not forget all the primates, but most other animals, like all your other herbivores, and, well, I suppose some of the predators, they have multiple memories along the tummy, much like pigs that have multiple. Cats have 6. Dogs have, what, 8, I think? Little one was sucking its trunk like a human baby sucks its thumb. But Marge saying she was shocked to find memories in between the front legs. What? The tree next to us is shaking, and I wondered why, because there's an elephant here. Hello, baby girl. Hello, children. Little boy. There's a lot more Ellies there. I thought there were only sort of 3 or 4. We've got another. We've got surrounded. Huh? We're surrounded. We're trapped. And we've got a delinquent behind us that's having a tantrum. There, show that memory, because she's standing in a way that we can see them. But yes, there is this big female. She looks like she might have a baby inside her. It's looking at a particular bulge. That bulge there, that looked like it was moving, like a baby kicking. Hello, Norm. Interesting question. Norm wants to know if there's a certain age when elephants won't come into heat anymore. Heat, I suppose. Estrus, better term. Yes, strangely enough. Norm, it actually can only really happen with Ellies and whales and humans and other great apes and things. This is a little boy that we're seeing now. I'm thinking maybe it's the same herd from this morning. And he was the little boy that was feeding on his own some distance from the herd. Normally there are very few animals in the wild, in nature, who live long, a fairly long time post-menopause, post-breeding age. Elephants are one, and part of that is because of the tight maternal line that exists in the matriarchal society of elephants, in that there is so much to learn and there's so much knowledge that needs to be passed on, that it is actually vital that old lady elephants, after they are no longer reproductive, in other words post-menopause, are still functional to the point where they can sniffing the hyena den, sniffing the one entrance to the hyena den, this little girl. We're at the back of the old hyena den here on Cheetah Cut Line, Glengarry, Maine. And so there is so much knowledge that needs to be passed on, but not only that, there is so much that the old matriarchs can do in terms of assisting with maternal care and raising of the children, teaching of the children, that it is actually crucial in elephant society that they stay active for years after they're no longer reproductive, as opposed to most other animals. In fact, a lot of other animals, once their reproductive cycles are over, they become, well, we term it senile, and that senility, I suppose, mostly referring to the fact that they're no longer reproductive. And, oh, you mafufunian, little one. And in the process play a very big role in society. Move a little bit forward. We've almost been accepted by the herd now as they move out into the open. We've got this gorgeous little one with the floppy ears that's just too sweet. I think if we go a little bit further, we can wait for them as they move slowly east. To a point where we'll be able to see them nicely, as long as you can see the big old girl, the old matriarch. Looks like they might even cross the road back to this little waterhole that's up here on the road. We were on the northeastern corner earlier on, now we're just approaching the southeastern corner. And as long as we've got some Ellies, I'm going to stay with them and spend some time with them. But nice to be able to get into a good position where we can watch them nicely, not interfere or not hinder their progress, or also not upset them in any way. I can't help but have children react. Ah, there we go, crossing the road already. Can't help but the way the youngsters react to us. There goes little floppy ear crossing the road now. Funny how quick it happens when they do. Here come the rest of the clan. I don't know, for some reason the matriarch decided that it's time to go south. Most of them have actually already gone in to our left. In the 2 seconds it took for us to come out onto this road. It's the cheeky little girl that's been displaying at us all day, well, since we've been here with them. she's playing guardian of the herd. And I think that might be the end of our elephant. Janet in Baltimore, that large Ellie that was lactating, that I thought might be pregnant, could she be lactating because she's about to give birth? The thing about Ellies, Janet, they're not like other animals who only really lactate, or whose memories only swell up when they're giving birth, or when they're coming into, or when they're lactating because they have children. Elephant, once they give birth, it's pretty much like humans, in a way. There's still a couple more coming across the road. Sorry, baby.
Whoa. Just as I was looking at this side.
Yeah, well, it's this little one that's been playing up all afternoon.
I thought that was us.
I should have warned you. Yeah, okay, I'm going. You turn around and go your way, and I'll turn around and go my way as soon as these other two children come past. Sometimes it's hard to tell because their memories are enlarged from the time they give birth for the first time, and they don't shrink really, and then it's hard to tell when they're lactating, because sometimes they can lactate for a long, also they can lactate on demand in some cases if they need to, for a calf that needs milk, if they've lost their mother. But their memories as adult females, much like us humans as adult females, their memories maybe swell a little bit during lactation, but generally they are normally large as adults. Some have bigger ones. It's very much like humans, different sizes and different shapes, different cups. An elephant 336D. Or 340D. Hello, Anne, wanting to know if that youngster that was going a bit crazy now was the same youngster that was having a tantrum on Scott's last day. No, that was a younger one, and that one had one floppy ear, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong, but it was a much younger Ellie. And quite typical, the little boy of the herd is... Oh, some rumbling. Maybe there's still a matriarch here. Well, most of them have moved off, but this little boy is still here. There are two youngsters still here. It's only really little boys that lag behind like this. Hello, Carolyn. Chicago. Elephant sounds. The sound from the mouth versus the sound from the trunk. They're different noises. Yes, they're very different noises. More the trumpeting that comes out of the trunk. Sounds from the mouth. The sound comes from the voice box in the throat. So there are screams and noises that do make from their mouth. But when they're rumbling, the deep sounds that we hear is elephant rumbling, produced in the throat. But it's kind of they're modified sinuses in the head that help to amplify that sound and send it out. So it doesn't appear to come from the mouth. And they're not tummy rumblings. They don't talk with their tummies rumbling. They do normally have, like our tummies rumble, they do normally have noises emitting or noises from their stomach in terms of little rumbles and things, but that's not really communication, that's just digestive noises. Maybe two families, there's still more Ellies in there. Different family here. Part of the family that is lagging behind, really. Oh, hello, parrots. There's a pair of parrots fly over, that squeak that you heard. Also a pretty cow, this one. Quite a lovely big old girl. Different family unit. Maybe been socializing with the family we've just watched cross the road, and she's choosing to take her family on a slightly different route. I'm just going to move forward a little bit. This is her little boy, and coming up behind him is her other little boy. Two little boys. Maybe why she's keeping them separate, because they're little boys and all those other children are little girls. No valid reason why I should say that. Why that should be. It's just a different family. In fact, I think she's the old one that I was thinking was pregnant. That was with them. She's looking very, very round. Seems he's still battling to break smaller branches. It's easier to just put it in his mouth and bite it off. I guess, see, he's trying to use the bottom of his tusk to snap it. I think he hasn't learned that he's got to use the top part of his tusk as a lever. So, and there are a lot of thorn. That's knob thorn that he's eating. Just puts it in his mouth and bites off all the leaves, thorns and all. Pretty little boy. Hello Theodora. What can you compare the loudness of an elephant's trumpet to? That's a difficult question. an 18-wheeler blowing its horn, a train blowing its horn. I don't know. It's I guess we'd have to measure decibels. See, this is my world. I don't know your city world much, and everything's loud to me there. There's actually another matriarch, a big female. Well, I don't know if she's matriarch, but this is clearly a different family group that might most likely have been socializing with the elephants we were with now, and now they're moving sort of in the opposite direction. Just what elephants do, really, I suppose. See how big she is? I think she's the pregnant cow that I was looking at earlier. Hello, Peggy. Interesting. Peggy's saying this little boy that was trying to break branches with his tusks, how old is he, and isn't he likely to have big tusks? Because look at this little one rubbing against mom. Now she stopped. He does have fairly large tusks for being such a youngster, and I'm guessing maybe about 8 years old. Not this one, this is a different, this is the younger boy. The other little boy we were talking about. I suppose he might be quite a big tusker if his tusks are fairly large already in proportion to his size. And if there's a way I can get around and through, I'm gonna work over there. Lovely sky this evening. Oh. Quite deep in the bush. There's the other female. Maybe is it a female? I'm not sure. them a minute or so to venture out from that thicket that they're in. They are coming out here into the open, and we might just get ourselves an early sunset because setting it up for quite a nice sunset. And elephants are approaching. So if I could just turn around. Maybe we'll get some elephant coming into our sunset in a minute or so. Hope it doesn't take too long. Lovely sunset, you can see the mountains in the distance. Maybe we better go and look for them again.
I see one straight up us to
Oh, there. It's just coming through now. Really pretty. Look at that. You can see the Drakensberg Mountains and the rays of sun coming through. They're not in much of a hurry, these Ellies. I was just hoping to try and set up a really unique shot, and it might still happen. It's a really hot afternoon and not much is happening, and while we've got some Ellies and a beautiful sunset, it's really sad to go anywhere else and try and, or rather have nothing as opposed to this. But it is a guessing game, and it is a gamble, I suppose, thinking they were moving this way and that they would be out here by now. I know that they will get here, but they're elephants. They're worse than cats. They take their pretty time. Okay, we'll catch up with the sunset shortly. Let's just roll down the hill, see if we can spin. If need be, we'll just keep reversing and come back out here towards the open. Gravity a little bit more. No more. I wonder what's got this little one so upset that it's been weeping from its temporal gland, so much dribbling into its mouth. Hello, high five. What blood force can be. Quite catchy. That's why it's called wait a bit. Interesting, there's still even more elephant west of us, so this is this is clearly a gathering of a number of different family groups that must have come together today, and we've just seen some of them in the morning that might have been invited to this soiree, this get-together. Just heard elephant trumpeting quite much further to the west. It's getting to be that time of day when we ought to leave them be. Shortly. I want to see if we can't get an early sunset here. We are quite a ways away and got a nice little drive. Hopefully finding something that might pop out of the woodwork, one of the nocturnal creatures that are waking up on our way back to camp. So I guess let's leave this mum and child and children. Let's wander west into the sunset. Been an absolute privilege to be allowed to sit with elephants like that, and everybody, well, except some snotty children who are misbehaving a little bit, but I go by what the moms allow us to do, and if the matriarchs or the adult females, if they're happy with our presence, then I know that it's just children acting up when they do things like that, when they act up, trumpet and try and scare away the big noisy vehicle. And it's an important process in their lives to know that they can throw a tantrum as much as they like, but it's not going to elicit a reaction because it's not up to them. But if they were given a little bit of leeway now, they would grow up to be adults that would be quite temperamental. So it's important to show children that their tantrums don't mean anything. See how that resonates in the human world, doesn't it? Kashmira. Very good question that I was about to answer rather straightforward, and then I started thinking, hang on a second, francolins that make a noise when you scare them in the evening. No, that's got nothing to do with it. Kashmira was asking about the temporal glands that are weeping in those. I mean, the temporal glands in elephants are these glands that secrete a whole range of hormones, pheromones, and chemicals that are basically like messages. It's like the postal system for elephants, because they rub their heads on things and they leave these scents, and these scents are the messages to other elephants that have. Every little compound within the secretion has a meaning. Some of them are hormones, some of them, I mean, like in bulls when they're in musth, it's testosterone, and well, elephants get a big message out of the scent of that. And so the other animals that are likely to have that are animals that are maybe related to elephants. Because as far as I know, if I was to answer it sort of quickly, as far as I know, elephants are the only ones that have temporal glands. There are a number of animals that have preorbital glands, which are glands just below the eye, just along the, I suppose, down the, they're the sort of glands that are linked to, I suppose, to the sinuses that secrete chemicals for territorial purposes, breeding purposes. Bless you. Bless you. Let's do gravity. And as far as I know, Ishmira, as far as elephants are the only ones that have temporal glands that secrete the kind of range of things that they do. And I can't even remember all the substances, chemicals, pheromones. Females, there's even estrogen. What was estrogen? Or was it something else? It's another. One day on the drive, I just randomly blurt out what all the chemicals are because my brain will just suddenly remember them. Right now, it's just not coming to me. So I believe there's been a leopard here. Some believe it might have been quarantine male. Who was up a tree with 2 stick females, 2 sticks lionesses. In North Carolina, with a number of Ellies collecting, family groups collecting. Could it be a special event? Well, I guess only the elephants know. Okay, at B, in my history, it's just a, I wouldn't say random, because somehow it's obviously planned and it's something that happens where elephants from very different places come together, and sometimes it can last for a few minutes, sometimes a few hours, different times. They socialize, the kids, everybody greets, it's a meet and greet. Kind of like a shortened version of Sunday barbecue. And they go their separate ways because they're all on their own seasonal paths. Whether it's a special event, there's no way of knowing. That's I guess, wishful thinking that maybe it is, but it's, I don't think that, I don't know, there's no way to know. We can't exclude it, we can't exclude the possibility that they have rituals or they have events that they aim for. Might well be based on so many things being governed by the solar or lunar calendars that are able to time certain events based on times within those cyclic events of either the Earth going around the sun, or the moon going around the Earth in relation to the sun, they have a vast effect on life on this planet. And so it's not a far stretch to think that certain events might take place. But I guess the only way to know would be to somehow monitor this entire gathering to see. And we would have to do that from the air, anonymously.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out...
So we're now at Twin Dam, which is only one dam. That's because it's twin with a dam that was in the riverbed, and I guess a flood one year must have broken that dam wall. And there's not really much happening here at Twin Dams. Hello, Sharon.
Sharon in Austria.
Only Sharon can ask a question that should lead to an entirely new research subject that I don't think... Well, I haven't seen any literature, especially some of the literature that you even sent me, Sharon. Sharon is asking about, and I think it's not so much a question that requires an answer as much as it's a question that needs to be asked, because I don't think we've ever thought about this. Does the temperature, the difference in temperature over the days with the different climatic changes that we go through, does that affect the level of weeping or secretions from the temporal gland? And I'm sure, since I personally, Sharon, my opinion, my guess, not guess, but without much thought, and I guess I need to give it a lot more thought, but off the top of my head, since temporal secretions are to a large extent based on emotional status of animals, of individuals, that perhaps on very, very hot days when there is listlessness and thirst and other factors that influence the stress levels or influence the emotional stability of not only an individual but maybe a herd, that maybe because hotter days are a little bit more stressful sometimes, that maybe, yes, it does have an influence. So maybe. He was supposed to meet up with a leopard here somewhere. He told me he would eat him. Very interesting question indeed. How does temperature affect temporal gland secretions in the adult African elephant? How does climatic change? But you see, you'd have to... how do you exclude all the other influencing factors? Because temporal secretions are governed by so many other factors. Here's this piece of bone, by the way. Remember I was telling you this morning, other factors. Here's this piece of bone, by the way. Remember I was telling you this morning, we were about here, and I was looking at elephant further on, and by looking at the elephants up ahead, I missed this one cow and her calf. Might have been that big cow today. I missed her, and then she shouted at me, and I just carried on going because I didn't want her to get upset. I've driven this road many, many times, and this is a new bone on the road, and I'm guessing, judging by the lichen and the everything, the patina, the texture, this is a vertebra, an elephant vertebra, and it is probably one of the last bones of an elephant that died somewhere here, which gives this road its name, Elephant Carcass Road. I don't even know if I could go through all the archives of the last 6 years that I've been here, that I've even found an elephant bone anywhere near this road. But this is definitely one of it. This is part of a, I'm trying to think, it might be lumbar vertebra or thoracic, but This is the bowl where the next the ball of, I suppose, the socket then of where the ball of the next vertebra fits, and this was the ball of this particular vertebra. This was where the spinal column. This would have been closed. This would have been enclosed by the rest of the vertebra. There would have been a wing here and a wing there, and then it would have come up with another. Anyways, hard to explain, but this is where the spinal column went. That's an elephant vertebra from an elephant here at Elephant Skull Road. Could have only been moved by one of the elephants today. Oh, wait, it's heart-shaped. Shaped like a heart. Oh. Heart elephant. I'm going to put it there and we'll see, maybe an elephant will pick it up again and smell it. I've touched it now as well. As well. Isn't it Tara that says as well? Or do I say that a lot also? As well. Look at the moon. Moon's getting higher and higher every day at the same time. And as it does so, since it's a waxing crescent, it's getting bigger and bigger. And we are in our, what's it, third day, fourth day? 1, 2, 3, fourth day of new moon. Elephant Spirit Road, that's what it should be called. From now on, let it be known as Elephant Spirit Road. Elephant carcass. Elephant Spirit. Greetings, how's your Monday going in South Dakota? The South Dakota is cold as North Dakota, because Paula used to send me photos of how cold it was in North Dakota. And well, I don't know how wants to know if they may be gathering for a birth event. I don't think so. The thing is, it looks like they've gathered already, past tense. So whatever has happened, because they've gathered. And they seem to be going separate ways. Or they're still in the vicinity. Or maybe they're just separating for the night. I don't know. Tomorrow, I guess, we've got our work cut out for us tomorrow morning. We need to go up into that sort of southeastern corner. I was going to say north, but it's not the south. The southeastern corner, or we need to find. We'll see. There's absolutely no way of knowing. It's not like you get these huge mass gatherings just for a birth event. Sometimes it's just more immediate family kind of thing. There are not that few elephants, but there are so many elephants that there's no real need for multiple family groups to accumulate for a single birthing event. It's not that momentous. In elephant society, it's when you look at the number of calves that there are, number of females versus calves, every female has got at least 2, if not 3 calves trailing along behind her. So their birth rate is great, and a big deal is made out of it within the family group, but it's not a big deal as far as cousins and relatives and other family groups are concerned. It doesn't really have to be anything. It's just that is what elephants do. It doesn't have to be an event. For us humans, maybe. Birthday, a wedding, whatever. The fact is, with elephants, every now and then family groups get together to socialize, and it's just because they happen to be close enough that they can talk to each other and arrange it or something. Maybe. I'm still guessing. I'm guessing that it's just a happenstance that there are certain families that are close enough together to be able to have a social gathering and let children meet each other, and there's I don't know how to put it. Basically, it extends the individual's knowledge beyond that family group to incorporate the local community, so that as an elephant, you're not only growing up in a family group, you're not only growing up as a female under a matriarchal guidance or a young bull that's going to eventually leave and become part of another group of bulls, and they're all going to disappear, never seen. It doesn't really work that way. It's almost like they're these little communities. And even though they might be 100 kilometers apart at certain times of the year, they're still the same community. They're the same clan or something. Giant clans of elephants that break up into their family units, and they go off their different ways with their individual matriarchs. And sometimes, certain times of the year, or several times a year, whenever it is that it happens, they join up with related families, those extended families that have been the sisters that broke away and became matriarchs of their own. I think we as humans try and find reason in things, and that doesn't always have to be. It doesn't always have to be about, or it doesn't always have to be reasonable. Excuse me, sir. In nature, things just they happen. Quite often there doesn't really have to be much of an explanation. Hello, Paula. Bachelor boys. I'm with our unicorn bachelors with them. No, none of them. Okay, let's see. I'm going to find a bush baby. Somebody posted on Facebook. They wanted to know what a bush baby looked like, because last night we had a bush baby, but we didn't really get to see it very well. All we could see with our eyes, and it's hard to really get close to a bush baby unless it knows you. Like little Simon. The logo of a friend of mine's establishment is a bush baby in a circle, and that was a little bush baby called Simon, who she raised from a tiny little thing. She and her husband Clint, Clint, and it was a photograph that I took on the steering wheel of my other Land Rover, which has now actually become the bush. That's weird how the universe works. Actually has now become the van drive vehicle for the bush provenance. This is what it's called, the bush provenance, and their logo is this little bush baby that's actually on the steering wheel of my Land Rover, but it was created into the logo of the pub and the V&B that goes along with it, the inn part of the pub. That's my photograph also. So my photograph of bush baby on my steering wheel of the Land Rover that is now, oops, sorry Andrew, there's a nightjar, it says changing the subject. It looks a lot brighter than it is. It's not really that bright. Yeah. Don't know which nightjar. I'm guessing maybe a fiery neck nightjar. Anyway, that was the most amazing experience that I ever had with a bush baby. Now this is the lesser bush baby. It's not the thick-tailed bush baby. A bush baby that is about the size of a domestic cat, or a bit chubbier than a vervet monkey. And these little bush babies, the lesser bush babies, are actually very small. They're only a few inches tall. And this little Simon became my godson. Well, I became godfather. And I remember there was a time when I didn't see him for about 3 months. I think it was when I was in East Africa. I came back, he remembered me, and he was pulling at my lips and kissing me, and he was just so happy to see me. Most amazing feeling as this little primate. Of course, not that healthy, since they have rather nasty habits of urinating on their hands and feet. And he joined a family and then went off to make a family of his own. Became a wild bush baby. Something more than just a bush baby. I mean, this is now getting to a time of the year when we've got a lovely little patch of early evening when a number of nocturnal animals are waking up, and we might be lucky enough to catch something. Of course, it could be we drive around for nights on end and see nothing, and then all of a sudden maybe we'll be lucky enough to see a genet or a civet or some little nocturnal animal, get a brief glimpse of it. when we use a light at night, something which we're only starting to do now because our days are getting shorter, and so we're getting this extended time in the evenings. And the one thing that we count on is the fact that animals have a wonderful feature to their eye that we as humans don't have, and it is a special thing called a tapetum, the layer of cells that reflect light back, at the back of the eye, that reflect light forward onto the back of the retina and then back into the eye, and they enhance night vision. So what it is that when you shine a light and you get an instant, because light travels so fast, you get this instant reflection of either one or two eyes back at you. You know there's an animal. So you don't really look for animal shapes because you can't really make them out. Well, there's an impala, but that's another thing I was going to mention, is that you get to learn different, well, not necessarily different colors, because it doesn't matter what color the eyes are, the reflective cells are all pretty much the same. The tapetum is pretty much the same in all animals, and depending on the angle it's pretty much greenish or sometimes orange sort of glow that you see. But the idea is also not to even look at diurnal species. Animals that you see during the day, there's no need to disturb them at night. They need their night vision. Nocturnal animals that have exceptional night vision, you don't want to shine into their faces, into their eyes, but it's nice to be able to see them, so you sort of bounce light off of the ground and catch them in the periphery of the light, as long as you can maybe see them, because that's, after all, that's the whole purpose. To try and see something nocturnal, trying to see something that we're not going to see during the day. And since it is rather limited time, why do we want to stop and look at an impala then? I can't really see anything because I can't shine it in his face or anything. Leave him be, and what we really want to do is find something like that nightjar that I admit we might disturb briefly, and one day we'll do it all in infrared or something. But even for a brief moment, if we could see something like a porcupine or a genet or a civet or a bush baby or a porcupine. Anyways, so that's what we try and do for this last half hour of drive when it starts getting dark. Unfortunately, it's time to say good night. God bless. Farewell. La 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 la. Brings us back to Do Re Mi. Good night, everyone. My name is Mark. You've been with me on drive this afternoon here at Juma Game Reserve. Andrew's been on camera. Brian and his associate has been back in FC. We'll be back 6 o'clock Central African time tomorrow morning. There is not an end to today. Today is not the end. Tomorrow is another day. In Shanghai, Munzuku, Nakona, Irwanasi. So, Tagumona na Munzuku, Chalaka, Uko, Swanen, Pensi. Good night, everybody. Love you, lads.